Here's you're calling back into a live show. We are reconnecting you now.
I messed up. This is not the Urban Therapy with some music. Hold on, slow it down. We got this going on. It's about to go down. Yo, wind it back one time. Everything is going to be all right. We'll be fine. There we go. All right, yeah. So, Urban Therapy with Sun Show, Sun 752, and everything is going to be all right. Thank you. All right. So today, this morning, on the Urban Therapy with Sun Show, we are talking about yelling at you plus the loud voice versus the loud voice. So, how does a person raising their voice at you affect you? How does it make you feel when you feel like somebody is yelling at you? Does it scare you? Does it make you want to defend yourself? Does it make you get violent? You know, some people get violent if you yell at them. You know, some people tell you, yo, watch who you yelling at, or watch, who you think you talking to, or lower your tone. I'm not going to tell you more than once, you're on your own. And I suggest that you take this a little advice. I'm not going to say it twice. Don't raise your voice at me, or it's going to be a problem. And you'll see you won't want to be yourself after you get your health reduced to a little something because you got loose. Yeah. So yelling at you versus the loud voice. You know, some people grow up in the crib where people are yelling all the time. You know what I'm saying? So they're a little bit more used to, somebody raising their voice at them, coming at them a little bit, but it might not be a situation where somebody is directly yelling at them. It may be more of a situation where, they was just loud. Some people grew up with the loud mother. The loud mother, maybe if you grew up with a lot of brothers and sisters or whatever, and y'all all had to go to school, and y'all was slow to rise, and mom might have, been yelling all through the house, like, get your ass up, put on your clothes, get washed up. Yo, and those things that you didn't complete last night, you better get done when you get home, all right? So you might have been used to, your mom or your dad or both of them yelling throughout the house, calling such and such. You know how it is when your mom call you by your first, middle, and last name. You know what I'm talking about. When your mom call you by your first, middle, and last name. A lot of times in a black family, that symbolizes that you was in trouble. Like you definitely weren't in good standing if she had to call your whole name. So we're going to get into that. We're going to talk about it. We're going to light it up like a flame. And everything is going to be all right. And everything is going to be okay. Yes, we do it right. And everything is going to be all right. And everything is going to be okay. Take a rest now. And everything is going to be all right. And everything is going to be all right. Slow yourself down. I'm talking to you right now. Everything's going to be, that's right. The clowns. So let's get into it. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. Oh, we good. Well, let's get into it then. Urban Therapy with Sun 752. This is the Urban Therapy with Sun show. We do this every single Saturday from 11 a.m. till around 12:30-ish. And the reason that we say 12:30-ish is because sometimes it gets so heated that we just have to do a little OT on a Saturday. And it is Saturday. This is the show where adults come out and play with other adults. We laugh, we cry, we argue, fuss, and fight, go back and forth with each other, bust it up all crazy. We play on the monkey bars and push each other up the sliding board, push each other on the swing. We play in the sandbox and on the merry-go-round. We take an introspective look into our own personality to see how the universe projects us into this thing called the world and try to figure out this thing called life. How do we fit in it? How do we get better within it? Well, I am your host, Sun 752, a.k.a. Omar with the rrrr. And if you can't say Omar with the rrrr, well, then you just say Omar with the R. This is the Urban Therapy with Sun show. And today, on the Urban Therapy with Sun show, we are talking about yelling at you versus the loud voice. Yelling at you versus the loud voice. What you know? What do y'all know? Man, listen. It's always funny to me and almost a little amazing to me, like the differences in what people consider to be yelling versus raising their voice versus speaking with passion. There can be different versions of each depending on what you're used to or what you'll accept or what you consider to be all right. And I guess that goes towards acceptance. What's going on? Some crazy toi. Thanks for coming on through. Thanks for coming on by. And Ja Biggs. What's up, my kid? Thanks for coming on through. Coming through. I'm glad you did. And T Carry right. Morning, noon, and night. It's always great to have my peoples going right in your sight. And Carol Chamberlain, my good ass friend. Yo, she's my favorita. Yes, I need her. Thanks for coming on through, y'all. Make sure y'all hit that like button. Make sure that y'all share the show. Make sure that y'all subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet. This is the Urban Therapy with Son show, and we are talking about yelling at you versus the loud voice. Yelling at you versus the loud voice. Like I said, you may have grown up in a household where people were talking loud all the time. You know, I would dare to say that if you grow up in a house where your mom or your dad yells a lot, when they was always popping off, not necessarily in a bad way, but it was like, boy, yo, who drunk all the juice? Who drunk all the Kool-Aid and put the jug back in the water? I mean, in the refrigerator, empty, or the ice cubes. You know, do you know how a black household would get shaken up when you put if you put the ice trays back in the freezer with only one ice cube in that shit? And y'all remember the old ice trays, the old aluminum ice trays, you know, where it had the little lever on the joint. It had the little lever on the joint and it separated the ice cubes. Yo, we was eating aluminum water like it wasn't nothing back in the day. And they thought nothing of it. Heavy metals all up in our system, yo. All up in our system, baby. Well, yeah, that's how it was. But if it was found out that you would if you got caught drinking milk straight out the carton, you know, hey, people did it. People do it probably. You know, milk was popular back in the day. Milk has a bad name now that we've gotten knowledge about how dairy affects us. But back in the day, back in the diggy day, yeah, you had some milk. And sometimes if wasn't nobody around, you take the milk carton. If it wasn't a whole lot in there, like it was half a gallon. So you just turn the milk up. Sometimes some people will put the milk carton right back in the refrigerator. So somebody else go get the milk. And they like, yo. And you might yell all over the house. Yo, who drunk all the milk and put the milk carton back in the refrigerator? Mom. Because you know your mom ain't do it. You may have known that your dad ain't do it. So that was a way of dry snitching on one of your brothers and sisters. They kind of had it coming. But anyway, so if you lived in a household where there was that type of thing, so you got to wake up the kids that's slow to rise. Aaron, David, Shanita, Crystal, get your asses up. Y'all know y'all got to go to school and don't be too long in that bathroom. I told y'all to get y'all bath last night. You know how. So if you grew up in a household like that where you're used to a lot of yelling and screaming, it's not going to be that effective to you when somebody else outside of the household raises their voice, because you're used to people raising their voices. And you may have grown up with parents or siblings that had the loud voice, like they was yelling, whether they were yelling at you or not. See, there's a difference between yelling and yelling at you, hollering and hollering at you. So you may deal with somebody who has a loud voice, so everything they say, it's all they talk loud, they laugh loud. That's kind of like me. You know, I'm kind of loud, but I'm not as loud as some people I know. And I do know how to whisper. Some people I know, I think some people do it for attention. You know, they like to call attention to themselves about yelling a lot. And when you're not a person who appreciates that, it's like you ain't digging it. You're not digging that. Sucre JTX. Sucre Jatois all up in the house. And surely show the world's most precious and greatest pearl in the world. Surely show the world's most precious and greatest pearl in the world. Thanks for coming on by, coming on through. You know how we are. You know how we do. TK Wright says, I'm driving and I'm not in a board. Oh, and I'm in a board meeting on Zoom with the library, but I'll try to participate as much as I can. Well, I appreciate that. And my brother Ansel Jones is in the house. What's going on, my brother Ansel Jones? Thanks for coming through, y'all. So, yeah. So there's some people who are not offended by someone raising their voices all the time because they're used to it. Quite frankly, they're used to a little bit of yelling, a little hollering and screaming, and people raising their voice. So they may, excuse me, they may not be offended by all of that. Meanwhile, you come along and you're used to people having even tone voices, only raising their voices when people are in trouble or when somebody's angry. And you may associate people getting loud with you as a precursor to somebody getting violent with you. It's not always that way, but I can understand how you would look at it that way if you're not used to it. So you may have witnessed somebody getting real loud with somebody before they actually reached out and touched them. Some people do that. But then, you know, there's a large segment of people who are sucker punchers. So they don't say nothing. You find out how loud they can get after they already two-pieced you. After you already on the ground and got to stand up. And they like, pussy, get up. You're like, but you put me down. Why I got to get up? You dropped me. So some people are using their loud voice as a precursor to them getting violent. And then there are people who just yell all the time and they ain't going to hit nothing. They're not going to touch nobody. They're going to make a bunch of threats and they always about to fight. Yeah, I was about to fight. I was about to fight. About to fight. I was about to fight. I tear that motherfucker up. I tear him limb from limb. I go in the mouth of him. Yo, I bloody his nose and bust his lip and give his dot. I do this and that and the third. Yo, don't mess around me, you heard? But a lot of people who talk a lot, that's all they're going to do. That's all they're going to do. That's all they're going to do. They ain't going to hurt nothing. They ain't going to touch nobody. And so Jones says, I refuse to raise my voice over someone to prove a point. Okay. So what we're going to talk about this morning into afternoon is, how does a person raising their voice affect you? Because some people get really, really rattled and anxious and scared or uncomfortable when somebody is talking loud. And then there are situations where somebody's traumatic past experiences may have being yelled at them or someone raising their voice become a trigger. Like, for example, and ASL can speak on this a little bit. Like, if you're a soldier from overseas, you was in war overseas, like maybe during times when y'all were having drills, or when y'all were in combat situations, maybe there was a lot of yelling and screaming. So somebody yelling and screaming or raising their voice, especially for a considerable amount of time, may trigger that memory of being on the front lines. And it may make you uncomfortable, or it may send messages to you like, okay, it's time to shoot somebody. It's time to buck up. It's time to tense up. It's time to prepare myself for this fight that I'm about to have. And it might not have anything to do with that. But it may be difficult for you to look at it that way because of your experiences. You know, when there's a bunch of shooting going on, missiles going off, and in combat situations, it's loud. It's very, very loud. So in order for commands to be given, people have to talk loud. But when you have to concentrate on instructions that are being given, plus you have to protect your life in order to make sure that you don't get shot while you're listening to somebody else give instructions, and plus you're seeing other people get shot or hurt or harmed while you're trying to receive these instructions, it may trigger a memory in you that may signal that it's time to get violent when you hear somebody yelling and screaming. PTSD is a motherfucker. It's a mofo. And it's something that we have to deal with. It's something that we have to deal with even if we don't want to deal with it. But it's serious business. So how do you respond to somebody raising their voice at you or yelling at you? Like, does it make you feel sad? And it does make some people feel sad. So, I mean, I don't think that that's anything to be ashamed of. But that's just to deal with some people. That's just to deal with some people. It may make them feel like if you're yelling at them, it may make them feel like you don't respect them or that you don't like them. I mean, even animals respond to being yelled at in a certain type of way. So you might see a dog or a cat sort of, you know, animals have emotions, and sometimes they know that your tone of voice, when you yell at them, you're showing disapproval. And they may respond to that, especially if they get their confidence from your cues of involving them. You know how it is with pets. You know how it is with dogs and cats. Because they know the difference. They know from past experience if you about to go get the newspaper on that ass. Dogs definitely know when you about to go get the newspaper for that ass. And they not feeling it. So, with that being said, your response to somebody yelling at you or somebody else's response to you yelling at them may trigger something in you, and it can lead to some trouble. Ansel Jones says, just consider working at a construction site. Should home projects be easier? You got me with that one, Ansel. I'm totally lost. But okay. But yeah, yelling at you versus the loud voice. Now, somebody like me that's always getting accused at yelling of yelling at somebody. They always saying I be yelling, and I don't be. I don't be yelling at nobody. When you get labeled as the person that yells all the time, you got to ask yourself why. You do. You have to ask yourself, well, what am I doing that makes people think that I'm yelling at them? What am I doing that makes people think that I'm yelling at them? Because nobody likes to be yelled at. Now that I can attest to. People don't like for you to yell at them. But some people can take it where other people can't take it. Some people can withstand it. Some people can stand the rain. Rita Reds, what's going on, Rita? Thanks for coming on through. And James Sandra. And I guess that's Sandra James. Thanks for coming through. Appreciate y'all. Appreciate y'all. Mucho. So we're talking about yelling at you versus the loud voice. You know. Yeah, somebody like me that's always getting accused of yelling at somebody. Yeah, I don't consider myself to be yelling at somebody, but everybody can't be wrong. So I know for a fact that I raise my voice when I'm serious about something or when I'm trying to get my point across. Now, the thing that I have to deal with is whether I'm actually actively yelling at a person. Because to me, that's a different animal right there. If I'm yelling at you, then I can expect you to respond in a certain type of way. But personally, I'm not a person that's offended by when people raise their voice or when they yell. 9 times out of 10, I'll let you get your shit off. Like, if I know you. Now, if I don't know you and you yelling and screaming at me, it's like, well, I just don't think that that's a good idea. Because when you don't know a person and you're raising your voice at them, you're yelling at them or whatever, I think that you have to prepare yourself for whatever comes out of that. Because if you don't know a person and you take the liberty of cussing them out or raising your voice or yelling at them or hollering at them, whatever the situation may be, because you may be totally justified in yelling at them. Like maybe, that's not a good example. I was going to use the example of like, let's say you went through the drive-through at a fast food place and they messed up your order. That's definitely not a reason to yell at somebody, but some people do. You know, like, yo, man, I said I wanted a number 2 super size. What's these small ass fries? What you doing? You know, like depending on who you're talking to and what kind of day that happened that day, they might come out of the fast food place into the drive-through and come see you. Like, yo, man, all of that, today ain't your day. I'm about to give you a different number 2. You ain't gonna like this, but I'm definitely about the number 2 you. You about to get number 2 there. So when people aren't used to being yelled at, you can oftentimes expect for some awkward, or some adverse situations to derive from that. So I would say be careful. There's never anything wrong or bad about exercising self-control. Sometimes you have to try to remember what you sound like to other people, if you know. And it's also a good practice to think about how you would feel if whatever you're doing to somebody else or thinking about doing to somebody else was done to you. Okay. If y'all would like to call into the show, I invite y'all to call in, and the number to call is area code 319-527-6199. That's the number to call. I said a 319-527-6199. Yes, y'all. I said a 319-527-6199. Yeah, get on the line. I said a 319-527-6199. Yeah, get your shine, baby, on. 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 Get your shine, baby. 319-527-6199, baby. This is the Urban Therapy with Son show, and we are talking about yelling at you versus the loud voice. Do you know the difference, or is there a difference to you between somebody yelling at you and somebody just talking with a loud voice? I've worked at jobs where one or more of my coworkers were just loud motherfuckers. Everything was ha 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 ha. Oh shit! Hey yo, Charlie, hey yo, Chuck, come over here, man, yo, and you know the nigga right there, he's right there. You ain't got the. Hey yo, you see this? This motherfucker over here. Yo, come here, man. Come here, yo, for real. You know, and they have the loud voice like that. So they're not yelling at you. Nine times out of 10, they ain't even talking to you. And when they are talking to you, that's exactly what they're doing in their mind, just talking to you. Like, no need to get all bent out of shape. I'm just talking to you. But if you're not used to their style of talking to people, then it's like, oh man, I can't be around such and such because I don't like they be loud all the time. And it should be getting on my nerves, and you know what I'm saying? Like I just don't like that motherfucker. You know, that type of thing. So it can cause serious problems. It can cause serious problems if you don't know who you're dealing with. And I guess that means that you have to learn their love language. Or it just means that you have to watch your mouth, fool. Watch your mouth, fool. I see that we have a call on the line. Caller with the last numbers 4828. Welcome to the Daily Go Getimism Show. Thank you for calling in. Thank you for holding. What's good?
Hi, good morning. How are you?
Feeling like a real man should. Thanks for asking. How are you?
I'm okay, thank you. So I think, okay, when you talk about yelling, well, you know, talking loud versus yelling, that's what the title of the show, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I think some people, it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of weird because some people are just sensitive. Some people are just overly sensitive, in my opinion. And they want everybody to hold them with these tender hands. And, you know, so that seems like these days there are a lot of people who want to be held like babies, even when you're speaking to them. And any even like a slight increase in volume, they're going to, you know, some people just break down all the way, start crying, voice quivering and shit, things like that. It's absolutely ridiculous. At the same time, I think that our society has become desensitized to feeling in general, so we don't always take social cues. We can't like separate those who are just overly sensitive and maybe those who may have that response from trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you are a perceptive person, you can tell the difference between those two people. I come from a family where, my parents did not raise their voices at each other at all. They didn't. Now all the kids, we're all loud, we laugh loud, we talk loud. I probably was the quietest out of I was the quietest out of everybody, but even I get loud, depending on what the situation is. And it could be offensive to some folk when you get loud, and they will automatically take it as you yelling. That's not even always the case. Sometimes you're just passionate. You're not even, there's no nefarious, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do know what you mean.
So I have been accused of that. But when you mentioned at a job, so that's different than a regular social situation. I feel like unless you're working in like construction, certain fields, people should not be raising their voices at each other.
It's funny because I worked on jobs where I remember this one job I worked at. The girl who worked there with me, she yelled every time she talked. Like it was a crazy thing because although she was loud and pretty much obnoxious, like she always she was like the matriarch of her family. It was crazy because she was always on the phone talking to her peeps that was home. It wasn't like they were away in a different city or whatever. But she was half black and half Puerto Rican. So, yeah. But she didn't look. I always wondered what her mom looked like because she didn't look. She didn't look like the media stereotypical Puerto Rican. She didn't look mixed like that. You know what I mean? She didn't look like she was. She didn't look like she was anything other than black. So I was wondering if her mom was just like a black Puerto Rican. Because she didn't exemplify any features outside of being black that we would look for in somebody that had blended cultures. I don't consider black and Puerto Rican or black and Hispanic to be mixed, but I understand what people do. So I'm sort of towing that line or straddling it, whatever. So anyway, but yeah. So but I was thinking that because her mom was Puerto Rican, and a lot of times in Puerto Rican's households, if you've ever been over there, there's a lot of yelling. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yes.
There is. So I'm thinking that's
an understatement.
Yeah. Even the quiet ones be yelling. And there are some quiet ones because I've seen them in big families where, one half of the family are all yellers and the other ones just receive the yelling like, yeah, whatever, But if her mom was a yeller, then she probably grew up around a whole lot of that. So she probably didn't recognize her voice being any octaves above anybody else's. It was just a regular thing, a family culture for them. But she brought that to work like it wasn't nothing. She would be on the phone like, fuck that. When I get home, then we gonna handle this because enough of this shit. And I just be like, that was with the door closed. So this is a straight office building. You know what I mean? There's no blue collar thing going on in this office building, but except for the job that we were doing. You know what I mean? But I'm thinking like it was crazy how loud and obnoxious she was, but at the same time, people loved her. They really, really liked her. It was a funny thing. The unlikeliest of people sometimes are the ones that people gravitate towards. But yeah, she was always loud. And she eventually she eventually became the manager. Go figure.
Mm-hmm.
But so
well,
yeah,
if she was treating people with respect, then that's probably why everybody loved her. And past a certain age, especially if you work in a corporate or like certain settings, I'm sure somebody has said to you, like I said, all the siblings in my family, everybody's loud, so I know, that people will have pulled out coats like, hey, buddy, could you lower it down a little bit? To all of us, and even me, and I'm like I said, I'm the quiet one. So, but some people who are loud, like one of the siblings, she literally said, this is how I am. This is me. You have to love me or leave me alone. And that song was out at the time, so she was really ignorant about it. And they loved her because even though she was loud and boisterous, she still treated people like she still was respectful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So some people, I don't believe that they don't know what their volume is. They know, and they just they don't look at it as like that bad, so they just continue. They don't even try to correct it.
Yeah. This chick was something else. You know what I mean? Because she was tall, and she was about 6 feet, maybe 6'1". So it wasn't like, yeah, she was, So imagine all that loud voice yelling and screaming shit, plus her being physically intimidating because she wasn't like tall and skinny. She was tall. She was a big jump. Hold on. She wasn't big like that. You know what I'm saying? She wasn't like she wasn't like a big Amazon type of chick, but she was definitely, she had some weight on her, and she was tall. So it wasn't like a situation where she ain't had the gentle giant thing going on at all. And as far as her being respectful, I think she turned it on for certain people and left it off for everybody else. Because I wouldn't describe her as being respectful. But there was something about her. You know how it is. You know how for some reason the most ratchet chicks in corporate America, a lot of times they be getting favor. You know what I'm saying? Like you be like, huh?
Yeah.
What? Like.
Yeah, I'm shaking my head because I know you're right. There's always one or two that you like, really?
Like Tara just made VP. Tara? Like Tara. Like, no, this can't be like.
Yeah, I worked with a girl like that.
Yeah.
She was so loud and boisterous. She would be like, what I'm not going to do is, she would actually tell our boss what she was and was not going to do. I was like, who tells the CEO this?
Yo.
But she was moving up on the ladder. I was like, wow.
I don't get it. But yeah, so when you're dealing with people who are loud that way and they come from that loud type of background, maybe they know when they're yelling, but they may not be always conscious of it because they, whatever you, like my dad used to always say, whatever you practice at, you're going to get good at. And that can be good things, and it can also be bad things. So yelling, raising your voice or being loud, it may not be something that you consider to be good or bad. It may be a neutral thing. Some things, it may be one of those things that is just acceptable in some realms and unacceptable in other realms. So, you just have to try to manage it the best way that you can, but it's totally possible that it may get away from you often, So yeah, but with people who aren't used to people raising their voice at them, it can like shatter or jitter or like shake their whole nervous system when you raise your voice at them. And
can I tell you something?
Yeah.
Sorry. Because I didn't witness my parents raising their voices at each other. I remember the first time I got into an argument with a significant other where they raised their voice at me. And they weren't yelling. But they did raise their. It was this. I call it the Big Daddy voice. You know,
the Big Daddy voice.
Yeah, it was definitely the Big Daddy voice, where the volume goes up maybe a notch or two. It's not yelling, but the conviction behind the words is strong. The volume is up loud, more than it was, and there's a whole lot of eye contact. And I remember being so intimidated. I was in shock because I wasn't used to, watching couples disagree and raise their voices. I just wasn't. Even when they were annoyed, like with my uncles and their wives, my aunts and their husbands, siblings. Just that one. But everybody knew she was, she was off the chain. So
okay.
She didn't really count. But everybody else, the examples that were in front of me, I wasn't used to it. So no matter how loud the siblings were with each other, I had this idea in my mind that couples were not supposed to speak to each other a certain way. Like you could disagree without getting all ridiculous with it.
Right.
So I was definitely that person who was not used to seeing that in a romantic situation, and I know I had a physical reaction where I was like, I was startled to the point where he said, where he noticed, he was like, whoa. So it's definitely a jarring experience if you're not used to it. But then, after a while, once you get to your 30s and 40s, I forget how old you told me you were, but once you get to a certain age, you should have been around enough people to be able to separate what's what. I don't understand somebody in their 40s and 50s cowering in the corner when somebody raises their voice, unless it's been a traumatic experience.
Yeah, but it happens, and but there may be other body language cues that they may be drawing from, or the yeller may be giving off other vibes. Like, not only is he yelling, but I saw the shoulders kind of square up. Maybe the eyes got crazy. Like my dad used to always say, he used to call it hell in their eyes. He or she had hell in his eyes or her eyes. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so, but it's funny because I've seen people who had hell in their eyes and they still weren't on no violent shit at all. You know what I mean? It was just they just had a peculiar body language that they spoke with, and it was different than other people. But yeah, they spoke with a different type of conviction, and they gave off different signals than I was used to. But once I got used to it, I realized, like, oh shit, they're not about getting violent or nothing like this. This is just the way that they light up. Like, all candles don't burn the same, and they don't all light the same way.
Right.
So, but it's something that you have to get used to, because you might see that and think like, yo, I'm gonna have to knock this cat out. You find out later that it wasn't even like that. I know, man. I'm sorry about your tooth, but
sorry.
But yeah, it's for people who aren't used to being yelled at. Sometimes they can scare the yeller. Like, they might say some shit like, yo, who fuck is you talking to like that? And the yeller is like, well, initially it was you, but I'm thinking about changing my answer.
True story.
And I've seen cats do it a different way, where they like, nah, man, you ain't got to get all like that. It's, we was just talking and blah, blah, blah. It's still a form of bitching, but it's like, listen, there's no need to take it somewhere where we weren't going anyway, you know. So yeah, just hear me out for a minute, you know, like this is just how I talk. I'm not trying to brag on you, boast on you, or bark on you or none of that. This is just the way I am. Can we please get back to this conversation? You know, but yeah, you know, for people who aren't used to people raising their voices at them, it can scare them. And it's funny because it really is about whether they were afraid or not. And people don't always understand that. You know, they think that people are just sensitive, like you were talking about. They may be overly sensitive to people yelling at them, but sometimes it make people afraid, or it can actually make people sad because maybe their parents used to, or somebody in their younger lives used to always yell at them while they were putting them down, you know, while they were insulting them or demeaning them. Like you ain't never gonna be shit. You ain't never gonna do nothing with your life. You ain't worth shit, you little ugly dumbass motherfucker. You know, and they were saying it loud.
That's harsh.
It is, and unfortunately, it happens often enough for us to be able to draw examples from it. So when we're dealing with strangers and we don't have any history with those people, so we have to do on the job training as we're learning how they are, what they are, and how to deal with them. It's a learning experience, but we have to pay.
Have you ever? Sorry, there's a weird delay. I'm sorry.
That's cool. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, have you ever spoken to someone where you didn't raise your voice, like you didn't even go up in volume, you didn't yell, but you were intense, and they responded to you as if you had yelled and screamed at them?
I swear to God, from my experience, whenever you're arguing with a woman and you're so-called winning the argument, all of a sudden you yelling. All right, but I mean, you ain't got to be yelling. I mean, what's all that about? Like, ain't nobody yelling.
Oh, you talking about yourself?
No. From my experience, when you are having a discussion with a woman and you might be so-called winning the argument, or maybe you've made a point that they can't dispute at the time, a lot of times they'll say, well, you ain't got to yell though. You know, all that hollering and screaming. I mean, what the fuck is that? And it's like, okay, my bad. So yeah. And I'm not saying that it's like that with all women, but yeah, it's like, yo, you might have been making a conscious effort to make sure you didn't yell. But the real problem is that this time you was right.
I got nothing. Because either you're winning or I'm winning. We're trying to meet somewhere in the middle. I'm not going to accuse you of yelling if you're not yelling. Yeah. But if you're getting kind of extra saucy, I'll let you know. Like extra, like condescending or sarcastic. But yeah, I got quiet because I was like, have I ever done that? I was like, no.
You may have done it inadvertently.
No, I haven't done it.
Okay.
I feel like, if you're making sense, or you're making a point and it makes sense to me, I'm going to be like, okay, that sounds right. But I'm not usually privy to arguments of other women except for how they retell the story, and that may or may not be really how it went. So I don't know. I mean, you would know better than I would because you're, you know.
Let me ask you. Hold on.
And
this is a little off topic, but I never really thought of it like this. Like from girlfriends that you've had, have you had any of them, like any other women in your life that you've known, when they've talked to you about any type of arguments or discussions or debates that they've had with their men, have they ever come back to you and said, yo, like he shut me up when he said this, that, and the third? Or like, had they ever given you an indication that their man was right in a situation and they felt?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've always wondered about that shit.
It's a but though.
Okay.
It's a but. So I'm the friend that pulls your coattail. So they're real careful what they tell me, because I'll be like, really, but you were wrong, and then they'll say F you, and then they're like, okay, but you're right, I was wrong, blah blah. So what because I always have more vibrant, my friends are always more animated than me. Mm-hmm. They usually have this personality trait, all of them, where the dude was right. They will admit it to me, right? Mm-hmm. After some time, after they put many sides, they know I'm gonna, pull their coattail, but they will say, yeah, he was right. He was right about that, but I ain't let him know that. So they'll admit it to us, but they won't admit it to him. Or they will say to the guy, and that's it. That's them admitting it's right.
Oh, okay. Okay. Let me write that down. Okay, yeah.
So they won't always come right out with it and tell and say that they told their dude that he was right. They may say it to us, but they don't always say it to the guy. Okay. And then if you dare say, well, did you let him know that made sense to you so that you guys could fix this? They'd be like, hell no. What, are you crazy? I'm not going to, because they don't want to they said they don't want to get the guy to win.
Yeah, because
they don't want to get from that W.
Okay. And what would giving him the win, what would that do in their mind?
Well, they just want to be right. They don't want to get. They said that they don't want to give him a reason to think that he's right all the time from now on. And I'm like, but if he's right, then I don't understand.
Okay.
But
Okay. All right. Well, yeah. I just wanted to know that because and I'm trying to think, like, do I remember any of my friends coming back to me saying, yeah, man, my girl was bitching the other night, but I ain't gonna lie, she was dead. She was right. Now I don't think so. I don't really think so. Men don't normally discuss what the argument was, but they will tell you when they was right. Like, yeah. She try to play it off like, this, that, and the third and shit. There ain't nobody stupid, but yeah, I don't remember any men recording any losses. Now, not when it comes to arguments. Now, other physical things. Yeah, she caught me with the chick. Hey, well, I was fucked up. I ain't know what to do. That's just like, yo, nigga, I ran. Like, you did what? Nigga, I just ran, man. Like, fuck that. But you said you drove. I did. I didn't give a fuck. I left the car there and everything. I just ran. I deal with that shit later. Like, I don't know. Okay. But yeah. All right. But yeah. Now, getting back to the whole loud voice thing. Like, what do you think that it's possible for a couple to get together where one is loud all the time and the other one is well, I shouldn't say if it's possible because I've seen it often enough. Okay, so what do you think?
That's all my relationship.
Okay, so how how does that really work? Like when one is loud and boisterous and just over the top, and the other one is pretty even, even tone. Doesn't really like to argue or debate or get into any of those types of verbal wranglings and all of that kind of stuff. What do you think attracts them to each other? And what would you say is ultimately in store for them going forward? If you have any idea.
I think what attracts us to each other, and I say us because, like I said, I'm usually that dynamic, that relationship dynamic. And just so you know, I'm not the one that's loud and yelling. But I think the attraction is the balance. It's the balance that we lend each other.
Mm.
I don't mind animated people. I find it entertaining, actually. And a lot of the times that the people that I'm with, they don't always want to. Even though that's part of their personality, they don't necessarily always want to be around other people like that. They want their mind to be still. Where when that relationship hasn't been successful, at least for me, it's been because of us, one or both of us not respecting the other person's boundaries, regardless of your personality type, whether or not you yell or whether you just talk loud. Because some people just talk loud. You still have to respect the other person's boundaries.
Right.
And so it can go wrong very quickly when you don't. When you have somebody like that, because that quiet person, although they're quiet, you don't know what's raging inside. So I've definitely bucked up, and people have been like, "Oh, well, good goddamn, I didn't even know that was there." So, and then by the time I'm bucking up, because I'm slow to rise, and by the time I'm at the point where we're both yelling, it's pretty much a wrap. So it's all about respecting each other's boundaries. That's really whether you're in a romantic relationship or a friendship,
mm-hmm.
or even in a work environment.
Okay. Now, I've seen plenty of situations where you'll see I've seen a couple where the quiet one will imitate the loud one. Like, this is you. But you'll never see the opposite. I never see the loud one imitate the quiet one. You know what I mean?
No. What the loud one does is they poke fun at. They do it it's differently. So they'll be like, "Oh my God, would you answer the question?" Oh, and so they poke fun at the fact that you think about what you say before you say it, or you take your time with it, and they make it seem like you're just a big waste of time. So with them, there's not a lot of personality traits to mimic or make fun of, but they will, poke fun at your response time. They will say something like, "Oh, she don't have an opinion about that," or "He doesn't have an opinion about that." "Oh, please, he ain't even thinking about that."
Okay.
I've seen a lot of women do that to their dudes who were quiet. Like, "Please, he ain't even worried about that. What would he know?"
Okay.
Things like that.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I could see that happening. I could see that trying to portray them like they're boring or they're corny or Yeah. Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't see that a lot. I mean, but if that was the situation, I would think that would spark off a whole new argument or a different kind of one. Like, who wants to?
Does.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So in a situation where, let's say, the girl is the woman is the quiet one. She's the reasonable one or whatever, and the dude is this loud, crazy acting, just a loudmouth guy. Will it in her attempt to try to get used to him, do you think that it will make her afraid of him a little bit? Like, will it be harder for her to get used to him than it may take other people or whatever, or a different personality type? Because by him yelling and screaming and all that, well, maybe possibly he didn't start out acting that way towards her until he got really comfortable enough to be himself around her. So maybe in the beginning he was watching himself really closely to try to quell his behavior or be on his best behavior. It could be that. But I would think that a woman would be kind of leery of or wary of a man that ran off at the mouth the way that some men do in a loud way, because I don't know no women that really want to get their ass whooped unless they if they're not really used to that. That first fight is always a doozy, like the initiation fight, boy. But
so wait a minute, is your question is a woman nervous when she first gets with a loud guy?
Well, it was more so
about what his responses might
be. More so, like, it's like, will she watch herself? Like, will she try to be extra? Will she try to be extra understanding or quiet, or maybe even act timid or whatever? Like, I mean, I'm trying to think, like, what kind of situation would that be to be in?
Mm-hmm.
That's no fun.
So the answer, I have seen it, where if the woman, I don't know how to describe it, but you can usually sense who's going to kick your ass. Like you can usually sense who I don't know. I don't even know how to describe it, but those guys, you can feel the energy of a person who's willing to lay hands. And at least I can. Mm-hmm. And I'm not usually with those people. Not to say that I didn't end up surprised, but and then it was on and popping. Yeah, but
and you said it was on and popping.
Because they figured I was quiet, and I'm not one for public. I'm not arguing in public. I'm not doing all that other stuff. I don't even like to argue anyway. So they figured they could really take it there, and they did. And they were like, "Oh, my eye." So there was that. But women who are intimidated by guys like that, they will certainly watch what they say. They'll be timid. They won't always speak their mind. Unfortunately, I've seen that with a couple of family members.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
They'll be very agreeable.
Wow. So you gotta be extra on your P's and Q's, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, that sounds unhealthy to me. So I'm thinking
it is.
Yeah. In a situation, in a romantic situation where two people are trying to get to know and love each other, you would think that you would want the most, I don't know, the most fluid way to be able to coexist with each other. I know I wouldn't want to.
But you're speaking as somebody with sense, though.
I'm speaking to somebody.
You're speaking like somebody with sense.
With sense?
Yes. Okay, so some men, to them, that's fluidity. They want that woman to be on her P's and Q's. They want her to mind her mouth and to be, aware of the fact that if she doesn't, there might be some. Some men, they like that. They feed off of that.
So the women who always loud talk their men and diss them and demean them and ridicule them and humiliate them, what's their goal?
Same.
Oh.
This is no different. I think those people who are like that, regardless of whether they're a man or a woman, it's a control thing for them. And I've seen a lot of women like that.
Wow. Okay. Sheesh. Yeah, that's something else right there, because I wasn't really thinking about it in those terms, but yeah, I guess I've seen enough situations where a man was really trying to flex on his woman.
90 seconds.
And he might have thought that was it ain't cute. If it's anything, one thing it ain't cute. It's not a good look on any front, in my opinion, but people do what they do and they go for what they go for. But that's part of the world that we live in, and I guess we have to deal with the different strokes being for different folks and try to make the best.
60 seconds.
Try to make the best of it that we can. But yeah, that's different. That's other. All right. We got to get out of here. But listen, I appreciate you calling in and rocking out with me during this time. I want you to have a great Saturday. Please be safe. It's a little chilly out there. So
thank you too.
All right. So this might be one of those days where you might want to grab that extra sweater or a coat. All right. So have a good one.
You too. Thank you.
I said have a good one.
I said you too. Thank you.
Okay. I'm just saying. All right.
And I ain't nobody worried about you.
Peace.
Yelling at
10 seconds.
All right, y'all. Let's do these birthday shout outs. We have some birthday shout outs to do this morning. Some people were born on this glorious November 13th, and they deserve to be acknowledged. So let's go about our business of acknowledging them and making them feel special, because they are special, because they are special, because they are S-P-E-C-I-A-L. They get the R-E-S-P-E-C-T. They are S-P-E-C-I-A-L. They get the R-E-S-P-E-C-T. They are S-P-E-C-I-A-L. They get the R-E-S-P-E-C-T. They get number one out the box, Lynn B.G. Brown. Happy birthday to you, Lynn Brown. Brown. And also Rahat Suna Bay turning 30 years old today. And Latoya Jefferson turning 41 years old today. 1 year in the 40-40 club. I hope it works out great. And Dat B. Bricks McIntyre turning 34 years old today. No relation. But what up, cuz? And also Keela Brown. Brown turning 50 years old today. Half a century, that's the way. And also Donna Canada turning 51 years old today. And Marcella Warfield turning 45 years old. Bow, 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 bow. Yeah, what's up now? And also Bryant Shabazz Lewis turning 58 years old today. And Aziza Streeter, happy birthday to you. And last but not least, my girl going all the way back to the 80s. Lived across the street from prom date, Martina Woodward. We both went to Penn State, graduated same year. You don't know? I think you should. I want to say happy birthday to all of you. And anyone else out there who shares this birthday on this glorious November 13th, anywhere out there in the world, worldwide, internationally, and universally. All of y'all go ahead and turn up but don't turn up too loud. Just turn up loud enough so everybody can hear you. Rock out, rock on it, do the damn, the rock out, rock on it, do the damn, rock out, rock on it, do the damn thing. You do your thing, y'all. Represent the queens and kings. You do your thing, y'all. Represent the queens and kings. Good things happen to those who wait. Great things happen to those who grind. And anything can happen to those who go for theirs. So go hard, go for yours. And remember, man, yelling versus the loud voice versus the holler versus the, I was just saying. I wasn't even saying that. I was just saying something. You have to know your audience. And that's what it really all boils down to. Knowing your audience, knowing who you're talking to. Showing a little respect, being conscious of how someone would feel with you communicating to them the way that you're communicating, and how you would feel if someone was to do the same thing towards you. There's never anything wrong with exercising more and more self-control. You will never go wrong with exercising more and more self-control. Many of us excuse self-control or exchange self-control for keeping it real. But it's not real to be hurting somebody's feelings. It's not real to disregard the way somebody feels. It's not real to be an asshole, basically. And that's whether you are the person who is loud and boisterous, or whether you're the type of person who sits back, lays back in the cut, and basically acts condescending towards other people, or disregards other people. You know how it goes. You know how it goes. I want to say peace to all my day ones, my everydays, and my brand news. I love y'all to death. Resuscitate y'all. Love y'all right back to life. I hope y'all enjoy listening to the show as much as I enjoy broadcasting it to y'all. We will be back tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock for another Urban Therapy with Sun show. Please make sure that y'all share the show. Make sure that y'all hit the like button. Make sure that y'all subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet. I appreciate me some you, so you know what we going to do. I'm telling you, it's true. All right, for my Instagrammers, Fine Slammer Jammer, thanks for coming on through and let me exercise my grammar. And I say peace, and I say bye, and I say that y'all gonna get fly. And for my YouTubers, you know how I feel about you. I love you to death, my boobers. And I check y'all out on the other side. Peace, y'all. Let's ride.